Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you? Hi. Well, welcome to my webinar today. It's kind of a twofold purpose. So you have a winter break that is coming up in China, and I'm sure it's a very exciting time to stay home, relax with your family. And if you haven't enjoyed Christmas, maybe the Chinese New Year, those are some things that you get to enjoy and look forward to. I, however, would love to see some students with me learning about something very, very personal. And of course, it should be very personal to you about our planet, about our Earth, how to help it, what you can do to learn about it. I would hope to be your first person to kind of learn about it, and then we can work on what we can do to help it. I always say don't ever go out and do something unless you know what you're doing and you know what you're getting yourself into. So today we're going to talk a little bit about our Earth on a very personal level. You can see some images I have here. And I studied this in college, and I loved to learn about our Earth. As a teacher, the first thing I can do is actually to have students learn from me, and then they can move on and move forward. This is your planet, this is my planet, and we have to keep it beautiful and to keep it going for as long as we can. So today I'm going to introduce you, and later during your winter break in China, perhaps even educate you further about our Earth. And what I first wanted to do, I'm sure it's going out right now here with Ivy, is to look at my advertisement. Environmental science is a science, but there's a lot of sciences that go into it. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But I'm looking for serious scientists that are creative thinkers and problem solvers, and who care about their planet and want to do something better and something good for our planet, to save it for our own children later on, and just to enjoy it yourself while you're on it. So I'm looking for 4th through 8th graders. And I know there are some 3rd graders out there, probably too, that will also be wanting to learn about this. But if you can read between a 500 to a 1,000 roughly Lexile reading level, between this range right here, so from 500 to 1010, a lot of the books that we'll be reading together and learning from will be between that level of reading. But 4th through 8th grade, and if you're a 3rd grader that reads between that level, that can be good too. So I'll definitely consider that. So here's my science corner for aspiring scientists. It says, for the unique child who dreams of becoming a scientist. It's a very serious job, career. Here are some books that we're going to actually take a look at from Big Universe. You'll see them at the end of my presentation too. But just to kind of give you an idea of things we're going to discuss and talk about is our climate, the changing of the climate. Energy, how we can do smart energy, green energy. You guys have probably heard of Tesla, that's the start, using different type of fuel to run our vehicles that are out on the road every day. So we also learn about global warming, the carbon footprint. What exactly is that? You can actually learn how to reduce your carbon footprint. I certainly have learned how to do that. We're going to learn about using energy, using it smart, a lot smarter than we have been. And we're going to focus on different energy, different forms of energy. But let me tell you a personal story before we start. We just had holidays here in America. We had Halloween on October 31st, then we had Thanksgiving, and now we're getting ready to have Christmas. They just kind of go back to back once we start school, in the fall. And one thing I've noticed when I was a small kid, is that around Halloween, it would snow. And yeah, we did get some snow on October 25th, but then it just kind of melted and went away. When I was growing up, we used to have snow, and I used to have to wear a warm coat and a hat over my costume for Halloween. And I was kind of like, oh, why am I wearing a costume? But it's because it was cold, because there was snow on the ground already, and it was staying. So it was cold enough for the snow to stay. And then, of course, we would get more snow in November around Thanksgiving. There was more snow. I just shoveled snow, or help my dad do that. And then Christmas time, of course, we had tons of snow. And it was so deep that, we were making forts and throwing snowballs and snowmen. It was exciting. However, this year, coming back and visiting and staying with my parents, I didn't see the snow like I was hoping to. Oops. Uh-oh. We're having a little bit of difficulty. Hold on a minute. Gotta be kidding me. Okay, so at any rate, I guess we lost a little bit of internet connection. That's okay. So I want to apologize for that. Sorry. But anyway, I noticed that the snow wasn't here, and it's not here now. It's very cold up here up north in Wisconsin where I am now. But it's not the same as it was when I was growing up as a kid. And then I wonder why. What is going on in the world on our planet right now that is not allowing for that snow to be here right now and enjoying it? And a lot of it is due to our Earth. The actual atmosphere is warming up too soon, too quickly. And that's why I'm not seeing the snow and as much cold weather as I used to. Well, it's true that this is happening. And if there's a way to slow it down, we need to try to figure that way out. I've been up to Glacier National Park up in Canada. It's in Montana, up in the northern part of America. And there were glaciers up there, and those glaciers are melting also. And that's also some more evidence of what's going on with our Earth. So I would love to educate some students and get you guys understanding of what's going on with your planet. So this is what I want you to look for, looking for this program, and hopefully I'll see you during your winter break, and then we can discuss further a little bit more about how we can help this and how we can understand this. So for today, and we'll come back to this a little bit later, I'll show you exactly what your program during the winter will be like, learning about the environment. So today we're just going to do an introduction to environmental science. Again, it's something I personally studied and got a degree in here in America. So it's very near and dear and close to my heart. So here is something, it's a beautiful picture. This is of Glacier National Park. Actually in the summertime, they have a very short summer because they have winter and snow for the rest of the time, and it's very cold. But the summer actually gets pretty warm, gets very humid. I want you to first look at this picture and imagine yourself as this person at the end of the dock. See what you see as you're looking through this person's eyes, looking at the clear waters, looking at the mountains, looking at the stillness of the water, looking at the plants, looking at the skies and the weather, perhaps a cool breeze. How are you feeling? What are you experiencing? And for me, when I put this picture here, I really understood why it's so important to know what we can do for our planet. This is a very calm, peaceful, very nature-bound, if you will, picture. Looking out, yes, you can see some homes, and you start looking at it a little bit, clear. You'll see homes and people here. This is actually Lake McDonald in Glacier National Park, where this water you can see as deep as it is. It's from glaciers that melt, and it fills Lake McDonald, and you can see all the way down to the bottom. It's so clear. And if you know what invasive species are, so it's different creatures and animals, especially in the water, they have to check all your boats and kayaks, and they have to have them all clean, because you can't bring different species into this lake, into this national park. That is how well they are trying to keep it preserved, as one of Earth's natural formations. But I did want you to at least experience what this person might be experiencing at the end of the boat dock. It's quiet, and it's early in the morning, and there are things happening around you that are part of nature, birds and fish, no people. It's just him in the water and the mountains that you see. And it's very calm and very peaceful. And I want to keep this feeling and go to these places and be able to, appreciate our earth and how it protects us. So this is what we're going to cover a little bit about, is what exactly is this environmental science. We're going to learn about some of the classes and some of the what you would learn in a college or university. What exactly is the environment? What is the science behind the environment? We'll talk about that for those who are serious scientists. How do the humans and the environment interact with each other? And are you ready to learn more? If it's important to you, which it should be, I will hopefully see you in the winter program. And then, of course, the resources, our big universe books and whatnot, we'll talk about those again too. So from this picture here, again, keep that mind frame. I want us to look at the pictures in this particular slide. I want us to see where you have some flowing water. That could be a freshwater system here. I also want you to see down here in the woods, the hiking trails. I mean, I love to go hiking, absolutely love it. And just to be able to, smell the fresh air that's around you, and look at, the rocks and different formations, and the trees and the birds, in the background. These are definitely pictures of hikes that I've been on and have enjoyed, and noticing all the green and just the freedom that you experience when you're hiking. Absolutely love it. And then I wanted you to see the symbolism here. Looking here, clouds don't normally form, continents on the earth, but I thought this picture was kind of interesting, because you're seeing a green earth, you're seeing a healthy earth, and you're seeing that it is every single person's responsibility, no matter where you live in the world, whatever continent you live on. It is your responsibility to make sure that our earth stays healthy. And environmental science, learning about it, is definitely one way. It says here, a lot of big words, I'll break it down. Environmental science incorporates the study of the physical, chemical, and biological processes. So when you look at these pictures, there's a lot of physical things going on here. The whole process of plants making their own food, photosynthesis, chemical changes, how the environment uses the gases of the air to actually, grow food, in its plants, or sustain green trees, or to keep these trees growing, and the biological processes of our earth too. So these things are all happening every single day simultaneously. And as far as the social, going out hiking and enjoying it with your friends and family, the political part of it, saving our national parks and our nature reserves all over the world. I know in China, they have plenty of places that are natural places to go hiking and enjoy the mountains and the landscape and the scenery. So there's a lot of political part of it. So political, social, and cultural. How does your country, how does your culture feel about the planet and preserving it and keeping it healthy. So again, that is the overall environmental science perspective from pretty much every angle you can look at in every kind of science. And so here is an idea. If you can imagine yourself as one of these people doing the work of an environmental scientist, looking at different things that they're actually studying and collecting samples of, whether it be rocks or plants or birds or insects, soils, the water quality. Here they're looking at, of course, different samples of rocks or different soils to see what's being collected in these streams and rivers. And here, planting. We know that when you cut down trees, you plant more trees. It keeps the carbon cycle, which is basically you breathing in and out, and the plant's giving you what you need to breathe, and you're giving the plants what they need to grow and produce food. That's the carbon cycle, just a very simple look at it. But definitely taking samples. If this is something that interests you, definitely ask me questions at the end of the webinar. And I can definitely help you learn about it. So when I was in university, I learned about the geography of the world. You need to know your planet. You need to know where people live, what countries they're from. Google Earth is perfect. If you've ever used Google Earth before, figuring out where our planet is with different things naturally, and learning where our continents are. Natural sciences, natural sciences, chemistry, biology, physics, geology, botany, and ecology. So chemistry is with all the different elements in the periodic table. Biology is, of course, a lot of biological processes that happen with plants and animals and humans. Physics, of course, is a lot of friction, momentum, even the North and South Pole, like how our Earth moves around and continues to do this, rotating on its axis. The geology is more the study of rocks and rock formations, knowing that a lot of our national parks out in Utah, for example, have been formed over billions of years from ocean waters, where you get Zion and Bryce Canyon and Grand Canyon to study that back from, billions of years before. Of course, none of us we haven't been there, but there have been evidence of it with formations of rocks. Botany is the study of plants, how they grow, what affects their growth. And ecology is kind of that social, political, cultural part of the environmental science. That definitely is an overall look at the Earth. Environmental history. Do you know where our environment has come and where it's going? What can we predict about it? Protecting our natural resources. You do know on our Earth, we have over 75% of our water is salt water. So we can't consume that. We can't drink that because it's salt water. It'll dry us up. And we have a very small percentage that is fresh water, and that we keep recycling that water over and over again. You flush the toilet, you take a shower, you wash your hands, that goes to a facility, a building, and it actually cleanses the water and resends it back to your home to reuse. So we have a very small percent, less than 25% that's fresh water on our planet. And we use it all the time. And it's also in our lakes, rivers, streams, our freshwater systems. But our water, our air, carbon, methane, those chemicals or elements rather that are in our environment, in our atmosphere also. Our lands, how we can protect our lands. Soils, you don't want to have, soil that keeps you from growing vegetables and fruit. You want to have healthy soils that can be reused and from year to year. Conservation. Now that basically is the air, the water, the land, and the soil. It's how we need to learn about ways to reuse it smartly and conserve it. Don't abuse it or overuse it, and that can happen. We do that a lot. And of course, political intent, there's a lot of political stuff out there. We just had our new president come into play. So that's the political we're talking. The ethics, what should I do? What not should I do? That's the back and forth and a debate. If you like to argue, if you like to, say I'm right and figure out solutions to problems, definitely consider environmental science because you have lots of opportunity to do that. So that kind of gives you a look in the actual degree program. It's very fun, very enjoyable, and you learn a whole lot about your planet. I love these pictures. I'm sure you guys can relate to this guy right here with the chemicals and blowing things up. And that's a chemist you see there with different elements and different mixtures and combinations. This here you see is more doctor related, looking for diseases, bacteria. A lot of our space program does a lot of this kind of testing, medical testing, up in the International Space Station. So it's kind of a neat little process. But of course, a lot of our cures and vaccinations have come from the International Space Station. They're trained to become these little scientists up there. Our DNA, how are we affected? Have we ever thought about that? How are we affected by the environmental change, our body alone? So what is this science behind the environment? A lot of sciences, like we talked about, botany, chemistry, biology, physics, those sciences are all natural sciences, and they're part of the environment, okay? It's a science in itself is a study of something important. Science is what we do to find out about our natural world. So when we're born into this world, as babies, we're already looking around and touching things and seeing things and smelling things and tasting things that we've never tasted or smelled or touched before. We are already a scientist. But as we grow and learn, we learn and we want to learn more about things that can make a difference, make a change. We are natural born scientists. So when we learn about physics and chemistry, it's because these things are all around us. Science produces facts, so it's testing these things. Like with the COVID-19, that's a big thing. We're needing a vaccination to help the people who, from getting sick and preventing them from getting sick again, if they never have or what have you. So we're producing that right now. So we're trying to produce facts to cure something. Scientific laws, once it's science, like momentum, Newton's 3 laws of motion, that's all been tested. Those are laws. Theories is something that has to be tested. It's just, okay, it can happen. We start with a hypothesis. This is what can happen, but that's not what it is. And we have to go back and test it. And then somebody else has to test it to make sure they get the same results. That's a theory. That's what a scientist does. So here is a little video called What is Science, to help you understand a little bit better about the science behind what we normally study every single day. So let's take a look at what is science. And I hope I have lots of questions. So please write down your questions. I want to know what you have or what you're thinking about, okay?
Science is understanding and being curious about the physical and natural world all around us. We learn new things by observing, asking questions, and experimenting. This is called the scientific process, and we all use it every day, even without knowing it. Observation. Sometimes when we see things around us, like a honeybee flying through the air, we ask ourselves questions. Question. You might ask, how does the honeybee fly? Hypothesis. Maybe the honeybee is being held up by string, or maybe it's using a bee-sized jetpack or flying a tiny plane. Experiment. By taking some time to watch the bee fly around, we can see that none of these things are true. No string, no jetpack, no plane. First result. When the bee lands, we can see a set of wings on its back. New hypothesis. It probably uses those wings to fly around, much like other bugs and birds do. Teamwork. A friend sees you having fun looking at honeybees and joins in. Now there are 2 of you. You get to check even more bees than you would by yourself. New experiment. You look closer at the bees on the ground and in the air, and you notice that all the honeybees you see are using their wings to fly. Final result. The honey honeybee flies by moving all 4 of its wings back and forth really fast. Share the findings. By helping others to understand what we have learned, we can inspire them to think of their own questions to find answers to. Just like that, you have used the scientific process to learn something new about honeybees and the world. This is exactly what scientists do to find out more complicated things. It's why the Wright brothers studied birds to invent the aeroplane, transforming the way that people travel forever. It's how Marie Curie changed the medical world with her twice-winning Nobel Prize work on radiation. It's the process that scientists have used throughout history to create medicine, light bulbs, cars, planes, smartphones, television, space rockets, satellites, computers, and so much more. So the next time you're faced with a fascinating problem, remember to observe, ask a question, hypothesize, experiment, and share your results.
All right, so definitely you have learned now the scientific process. We are definitely, humans are natural scientists, like I mentioned, and we always want to have answers to our problems. So again, thinking about that process, those theories that are hypotheses over and over again until you finally get results that you want and can replicate. Someone else can do the same thing. Remember how she invited her friend? And then her friend could prove the same thing she could. And therefore, you can share that information with other people, with groups of people. Okay, so that is the process of a scientist and a scientific process itself. So looking at the environment, you can see our beautiful Earth here, where you have the North and South poles that are cold and icy. And of course, over time, we have discovered it's starting to melt, the snow, the glaciers, and causing our water levels to rise in the ocean. So if you're living anywhere coastal, that could be a concern, or for those people who go to coastal regions as visitors or tourists, you know, they're going to experience, you know, higher water levels. But you can see the greens and, you know, where there's land and forests, like here's the Amazon here in South America. A lot of deforestation is happening here very quickly to clear land for homes, but also to use those plants that they're cutting down for medicines, to study medicine and create new medicines. Here you got your deserts. You got your Sahara Desert here. You've also got your desert here in Saudi Arabia and in China. So you've got a lot of green, you've got a lot of contrast in color, and your environment here is all of the physical surroundings that are around you, the living things and the non-living things. So everything, people, animals, plants are living things, and our non-living things, of course, are your rocks, your air, your soils, and your minerals. Those things interact. We interact with non-living things every single day, you know. So how can we protect those things? And we rely on each other. You think about it, we rely on these rocks, you know, we use them for building things. We rely on the soils to grow things. We rely on the air to breathe. Without it, you know, we wouldn't be here. So we have to be able to understand it and protect it. The part of the atmosphere, of course, that you're looking at right here, or, you know, pictures have been taken of our Earth, is called the biosphere. And this biosphere is what needs to be protected, and the attention needs to be brought to this area here. But also look in the atmosphere, looking at those gases and what we do to bring more gases. We don't need to be doing that. And then how the sun also interacts with those gases, like carbon especially, and how it keeps our planet warmer, like it's a toasty little oven. We need to reduce that a little bit because we're seeing the melting of glaciers, and I'm not seeing snow anymore as early as Halloween. So here is a video to kind of explain natural things, which you're seeing right here on our Earth, forests and mountains and lakes and rivers and ocean, as opposed to man-made things, things that we have created. So here's a little video about the difference between man-made and human-made things, or man-made things.
The world around us. All the things present in the world are natural or man-made, living or non-living. Natural things. We see beautiful lakes, mountains, forests, animals, and birds around us. They are all naturally present in the world. The things that naturally exist in this world are called natural things. All living things are natural things. Even some of the non-living things like sunlight, air, water, soil, sand, and rocks are natural things. Man-made things. The things which are made by man are called man-made things. Chair, jute bag, table, sweater are few examples of man-made things. Preserving the natural things. Man makes things using the natural things. The book that we read is made from paper. Paper is made from the pulp of trees. The book is man-made, whereas the pulp of trees is a natural thing. We cut down trees to build houses and factories. We kill animals like tigers and leopards for their skin and bones, and the elephants for their tusks. We depend on plants for our food. They also purify the air we breathe. A plant needs soil, water, air, and sunlight to grow and live. Do you think that nature will keep on supplying all these things to us forever? No. We have to preserve our natural resources. We have to use them carefully. If we cut down a tree, we should plant 4 more in its place. We should stop buying things made by killing animals. If we all do our bit in taking care of our world, it will be a much better place to live in.
You know, and I don't know about you, but I get goosebumps when I see this picture with children's hands on our earth, and think about how I can help that, how I can help these children live and be able to breathe, you know, clean air. That has always been a big concern of mine, is making sure that our children, you guys, have an earth that is still very clean and can take care of you, and you can take care of it. So yes, I definitely love this picture right here. Definitely something I think about. So when we're talking about the environment, again, it's us and man-made things. We use the natural resources to make things that we need to, you know, enjoy, like a house or a table to put your drinks on, or, you know, to have dinner on. So think about that and what we can do to cut that down a little bit, and we need to preserve those natural resources. So here are a few things, again, questions that I want you to ask, but also questions I'm going to answer for you right now. We're going to watch a brain pop, and I'm a big fan of brain pop. It helps you learn quite a bit. Here are some questions. So let's go over these quickly and watch our brain pop, and then let's answer these questions. So first of all, interacting humans with the environment. How do we cause problems? And what can we do about it? So as you prepare to watch this video, I'd like to have you think about some questions. Question 1, how can you help? Remember the 3 C's: conserving, cleaning up, and chiming in. Chiming means to talk. What are our natural resources? You already kind of know them: air, soil, land, the sun. What was the Industrial Revolution and what was used? How did it increase our population? So that's part of history, Industrial Revolution, when factories were built and things were made very quickly. What do humans use or waste? So 3 examples of what we use or waste. Question 5, why do we destroy forests? What happens when we do? What is done with the cut down trees? And why do we need trees? How do they help us? A lot of questions with trees, so definitely pay attention to that in the video. Number 6, what is a non-renewable source of energy? Question 7, how do humans cause global warming? What is global warming? Number 8, a very interesting question. How much trash does one human make in one day? Yeah, that's a problem too. What is a landfill? What are the dangers of having landfills? How can you conserve? How can you clean up? How can you chime in? Those are the 3 C's. What are things that you can do? So let's head over here to our brain pop. And right here. Let's take a peek at what we can learn from Moby and Tim. This is a big problem.
Look at all this trash, Moby. Dear Tim and Moby, people keep telling us to save the planet. But what can I do to help the environment? From Bjorn. That is a great question. 3 of the best ways I can think of are conserving, cleaning up, and chiming in. Conserving means using less of things like energy and manufactured goods. Cleaning up means cleaning up after yourself for sure, but also after others when you can. And chiming in, that means you should speak up about protecting the environment. Well, for many thousands of years, humans have been using the Earth's natural resources, things like the air we breathe and the water we drink. But we've only made a major impact on the environment over the last 200 years or so. For example, we began burning fossil fuels like coal and petroleum during the Industrial Revolution of the 18th and 19th centuries. Not only was this the beginning of pollution as we know it, it also marked the start of a huge population boom. Between 1800 and the present, the world population shot up from 1 billion to 7.7 billion. The more people there are on the planet, the more natural resources we use, the more chemicals we release, and the more waste we produce. Well, there are lots of reasons why this is bad for the planet, and us. For instance, whole forests have been cut down in order to produce wood for homes, furniture, and paper. Destroying forests also destroys the homes of animals and other wildlife, which can cause organisms to go extinct. And trees themselves are important to our health. Plants get rid of carbon dioxide and produce the oxygen we breathe, so we need to have them around. Yeah, lots of the stuff we buy every day messes up the planet too. Take the plastic containers that so many things come in. It takes a lot of oil to make just a little plastic. Oil and other fossil fuels are non-renewable sources of energy. There's only so much on the planet. Plus, when these fuels are burned, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and methane are produced. These pollutants don't just damage our atmosphere and our lungs, they also contribute to global warming. That's an unnatural increase in the world's temperature that scientists agree may soon have drastic effects on the planet. You got that right. Humans make a lot of waste. In the United States alone, every person produces about 2 kilograms, or 4.5 pounds of trash every day. That's over 725 kilograms every year. Most of our trash ends up in landfills. Landfills usually do a good job of keeping pollutants from getting into the ground, but it can still happen. Garbage can sit in a landfill for hundreds of years or more before it decomposes. And some of the things we throw out, like batteries, bleach, medicine, and other household items, can be really hazardous. Right, it does seem overwhelming sometimes. But every person can make a real difference, so let's go over those 3 C's again. First, try to conserve. Simple things like turning off lights you're not really using or turning your thermostat down just a few degrees in the winter can save energy and decrease fossil fuel use. Another easy thing you can do is buy less stuff, especially things that come in unnecessary packaging. Next is cleaning up. It seems pretty simple, but just putting your waste in the right place can make all the difference. Garbage not only looks bad, it can leak dangerous chemicals into the ground, which can eventually get into the water we drink. You can also try to find a volunteer group in your area that organizes trash cleanup days in parks or along highways. Lastly, you can chime in. Tell your parents and friends how important saving the environment is to you. You can ask them to try to get their energy from companies that sell environmentally friendly fuels, things like wind power or biodiesel. You can also make your voice heard by writing to your local and national government representatives and telling them that you support environmentally friendly practices. This is our planet, and we have to take care of it. I wonder how long it'll take us to go through the whole beach. Hey, that's not garbage, that's my towel.
So we want to be able to enjoy our beaches, right? Without having to find trash and broken glass from bottles on our beaches. Yeah, that's not any fun. So we need to think about those places that we can start with right now, like our bedrooms and our homes and, our neighborhoods, communities, our schools, to start in small places and just grow out to conserve and to help our environment. So again, how can you help conserve? Saving on resources. Like you said, bring the temperature down in your home, turn the lights off, turn your water off when you brush your teeth, brush your teeth, turn the water off, and then turn it back on when you're ready. Cleaning up after yourself. Hopefully you all can do that, but sometimes you find you have to clean up after other people. Yeah, I know it's hard, you struggle with it, but I would rather have a clean environment than not. Chiming in, talking to your government officials, your teachers at school, people in your neighborhood. What can we do to make a difference? So natural resources, we talked about those, your air that you breathe, your soils that you grow crops, your plants and where they grow, your sand, your soils. I'm probably missing some things, but those are all natural. Your water, that's huge pollution in our water and our air. So we need to keep them clean and learn ways to keep them clean. Industrial Revolution back in the 1800s is where it all started. We started mass producing things, like a lot of things at one time, because we had machines in these factories, and then we would use fossil fuels like coal to, power our steam engines and to get, what we were producing in factories out to different cities and different states and different countries. So when that happens, and you can, take these things out to these cities, the cities grow. People will come to the city because they're getting things, they're getting products. So that's how population increases very quickly. What do humans use or waste? What are 3 examples of what we use and waste? Our fossil fuels, our natural resources. These things we use, but we also waste them too. Why do we destroy forests? Factories and homes also produce medicines. What happens when we do? Well, where we have the carbon that the trees take out of the atmosphere, less trees, meaning more carbon up inside our Earth's atmosphere. What is done with the cut down trees? Well, that's where they're producing homes and things, factories, paper products. Why do we need trees and how do they help us? Well, that's quite quickly the carbon cycle. We give it trees carbon dioxide to produce food. And then of course we get the oxygen, the fresh air that you breathe in from the trees. What is a non-renewable source of energy? So when you're looking at non-renewable, you can't reuse these things. So think about that. How do humans cause global warming? And if you look at the pictures right here, the trash on the beaches, the smoke and smog from the factories, that right there is causing global warming. Chemicals released, methane gases, carbon gases are all being released into the atmosphere. Too much of it is not a good thing. So the global warming between the sun and all the extra gases, that causes the global warming. We're like a hot cooking stove right here. How much trash does one human make? 4.5 pounds of trash a day. What is a landfill? It's where everyone throws their trash in one place. What are the dangers of having landfills? The chemicals that are produced from all that garbage and trash seeps into our groundwater system, or those gases go into the air, again, into the atmosphere. How can you conserve? Again, turn lights off, turn the water off if you're not using it. Cleaning up, yes, clean up after yourself, and sometimes you might have to after others, or tell them, clean up your trash. That might be one way to motivate them. Chiming in, talking to people, spreading the word. What can we do? So again, that's something we're going to discover and study during my winter program. Here is a very personal, again, video of how we're causing this since the Industrial Revolution, and we continue to do it. So here's something that you might want to see.
Human activities, from pollution to overpopulation, are driving up the Earth's temperature and fundamentally changing the world around us. The main cause is a phenomenon known as the greenhouse effect. Gases in the atmosphere, such as water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and chlorofluorocarbons, let the sun's light in, but keep some of the heat from escaping, like the glass walls of a greenhouse. The more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, the more heat gets trapped, strengthening the greenhouse effect and increasing the...
So when you see more and more of these gases being released, that's us. And if you notice, the more gases, the redder it has become here, or the more global warming that is caused between the sun interacting with our atmosphere. So naturally, there are these methane gases and carbon gases, nitrogen, they're all there naturally. But when we add to it and the sun is heating this up, that's where we get global warming from. Okay, just to clarify.
Earth's temperature. Human activities, like the burning of fossil fuels, have increased the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere by more than 1/3 since the Industrial Revolution. The rapid increase in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere has warmed the planet at an alarming rate. While Earth's climate has fluctuated in the past, atmospheric carbon dioxide hasn't reached today's levels in hundreds of thousands of years. Climate change has consequences for our oceans, our weather, our food sources, and our health. Ice sheets, such as Greenland and Antarctica, are melting. The extra water that was once held in glaciers causes sea levels to rise and spills out of the oceans, flooding coastal regions. Warmer temperatures also make weather more extreme. This means not only more intense major storms, floods, and heavy snowfall, but also longer and more frequent droughts. These changes in weather pose challenges. Growing crops becomes more difficult. The areas where plants and animals can live shift, and water supplies are diminished. In addition to creating new agricultural challenges, climate change can directly affect people's physical health. In urban areas, the warmer atmosphere creates an environment that traps and increases the amount of smog. This is because smog contains ozone particles, which increase rapidly at higher temperatures. Exposure to higher levels of smog can cause health problems such as asthma, heart disease, and lung cancer. While the rapid rate of climate change is caused by humans, humans are also the ones who can combat it. If we work to replace fossil fuels with renewable energy sources like solar and wind, which don't produce greenhouse gas emissions, we might still be able to prevent some of the worst effects of climate change.
Okay, again, so a lot of information that you're learning very quickly. During the winter program that I'm doing, we will definitely work through a lot of these understandings of global climate change, carbon emissions, things like that. And of course, solar power energy, wind power energy. We'll talk about other sources of energy that are not causing the increase of these gases because they're there. They have been created. So are you ready to learn more? Let's work toward a beautiful Earth. Let's clean it up. For the winter program, I know it's in January and February there in China. You can learn about how to do this, how to make a difference. It's helping you. I'm going to help you to help our Earth. This is for the serious scientists, someone who is between the 4th and 8th grades. I might make an exception for some 3rd graders that I know that can read really, really well, between a 500 to a 1010 reading lexile. So when you think about it, every day we walk upon the very soil that provides food for our bodies. We drink water to replenish our energy. We pass on to our children the importance of our health and well-being with good nutrition and plenty of physical activity. Each day we wake up is a day we live our lives. How do we continue this tradition of human life going? What can we can do our part to help each other by learning the importance of how we interact with our Earth and how we can keep our Earth healthy through simple measures of care. What technology have we been developing to conserve our energy and our resources like water, food, power, and soil? Take the time now to discover and learn about what you can do to help. So again, here are the books. There are a lot more than this that we'll be using. And we are almost out of time, but I wanted to show you, this is kind of like we're going to be learning about learning English through environmental science, about climate change, about the weather of the Earth, the climate system, the ecosystems, the global carbon cycle, energy to power our world, talking about environmental history in the past, how our climate is changing, solutions, how can we solve the climate change, reduce, reuse, and recycle. And of course, you are going to make a plan to make a difference as we study these things and experiment and learn through video, through books, conversation, current events. I have produced this lesson from National Geographic. So a lot of facts and information will be from National Geographic as we study. So yeah, we'll have plenty of fun, but also plenty of learning, and you will make a difference by learning about our environment and what's affecting it. So let me see here. I'm going to stop sharing for just a little bit to see what kinds of questions that we may have. Yeah, so I'm very, very curious how everyone's doing and any questions that they have at this time.
My question is, well, like every day we cook food, and then is that one of the cause of climate change? And then if we don't cook with those things, what can we use to cook with other things?
Cooking food, it's a very small amount of any kind of bad gases because there's many ways you can cook food. If you cook it on a frying pan on your stove, use gas or electric normally. But that's not the biggest problem. I think the biggest problem is just our factories in our cars driving around all the time, you know, where we could be riding a bike or taking a walk or carpooling with someone else. So there's not as many cars out there. That is usually the biggest problem. Because you did see in the video, right? You see a lot of the cars in the factories. It didn't show about people cooking at home, because we do need to cook our food. And there are a lot of ways to do it, but we can certainly talk about that in the winter program, about things that you can do to make a difference, like reducing your carbon footprint. Okay, but cooking is not always the big problem. And what was the other part of the question?
Like, is there other ways instead of electricity and fire?
Yes. So we have solar energy, which is the energy collected from the sun for the solar panels. We can put those up on our house. We can use wind energy, you know, those little wind turbines. And we can also, you know, cook on a natural fire, you know, every once in a while, is not a bad thing to do. But there are some small ways to make a difference. I'm glad you're thinking about that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Jade.
Hi, Kristina.
Hi, Brandon. How are you?
I'm great. So I have a question is about there's a scientific data in now world is saying like human temperature are getting much more lower than thousands of years ago or hundreds of years ago. They say it's about the environmental problems. So is this the problem about the climate changing?
So are you talking you said human temperature?
Yeah, human temperature, like body temperature.
Okay. See, at body temperature, I guess it could be affected by it because if you think about it, if our planet is warming, doesn't the sun also warm our bodies? So
Yeah,
do you
that
see? Yeah. So do you see how that can affect us? Not just our breathing, but our body temperatures can increase because the earth is getting warmer. So we're getting cooked like a cookie in the oven. Yeah, for sure.
So we will get much lower because the earth are getting warmer.
Our body temperatures probably won't get lower. They might either sustain or get warmer as the earth gets warmer.
But the scientific data says human temperature goes down for 0.8 or 6 temperature. I don't know why. They say it is about the earth climate was changing, so humans are getting down.
Well, and that could be true in both ways, but I know that, when we, like animals, for example, if you cut down their habitat, their ecosystem is affected, right? So kind of like with us, our earth is our ecosystem, our homes are our ecosystem. When we're affected by the earth and its changes because we have brought these changes on, we have to learn to adapt. So our bodies, like with our lungs and our brains and our, body temperature, these all have to adapt and or change to what's going on the earth. So, for me, it makes more sense to have a warmer body temperature since our planet is warmer. But it could be that our cooling system in our bodies have learned how to cool us down because that is its job, right? We sweat more. And that sweat is its way of cooling off your body. So maybe we have to sweat more just to cool ourselves off. I don't know about you. I don't know if I want to sweat any more than I already do, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, but that's good evidence. Yeah, that's definitely good stuff. Keep reading.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Kristina, I think there is no question. Thank you.
Okay. All right, you guys. Well, I hope to see some of you guys in the winter program. Looking forward for environmental science and, of course, climate change. Talk to you guys later. Bye.